start shuffling in. Give it another 30 seconds for people to show up. And then for those who haven't been to an office hours before, we typically start out with a demo of some of the stuff that we either recently released or that we're building right now. So I'll show off just a quick video of um, something that we built in the Mindsmith custom code tile that will be coming down the line. And then I'll also show some of the updates to the Mindsmith new video creator. So I think we can go ahead and get started. Let me share my screen and we can show off some of this stuff. Okay, I'm going to start off by showing this video. This is a video that one of our developers put together for um, the custom code tile, where you can see that he created this 2048 game in Mindsmith. So it's like native in Mindsmith, which is pretty cool. And then you can see he has this whole conversation with the AI, where the AI, is talking through some of the different stuff, and then he had it match up the colors to the real game. I believe that the custom code tile can also reference the theme colors that you have. Oh, and there are a bunch of different settings that you can play around with. Um, but yeah, it'll have you can mess with the theme colors and you can relate the custom code to the theme. So the exciting thing about the custom code tile is that you can really create anything in Mindsmith. So you'll be able to vibe code your own interactives or, custom learning experiences. Except that kind of the benefit of it is that it can reference different elements within Mindsmith. So if you have, for example, a button, then you can have it look like a button in other parts of Mindsmith. So it has this chassis so that your experience looks consistent across your lesson, so that it doesn't feel like it's something that you vibe coded in a different tool and then just like threw in as an iframe. The other cool thing is we can track what happens in that code. So you can collect analytics based on the learner engagement and experience within that custom code tile. So that's another exciting part of that. The other thing is that you'll be able to vibe code and edit with the agents. You'll be able to edit your code with the agent, which is helpful because if you're, for example, if you have someone who custom vibe coded something and then leaves the company, then you'll have the code and you can just edit it natively in Mindsmith. So you don't have to like kind of figure out where they vibe coded it or find their code and then import it to a different system and edit it. It'll all just be easily accessible natively in Mindsmith. So we're really excited about bringing custom code to your lessons. The other thing that I wanted to show quickly was the updated user interface around videos. So I'm going to pull up a video really quick in Mindsmith. Let's see. Is that a video? Yes, it is. Okay. So we made some changes that essentially allow you to just make all the edits super easily natively in the video editor. So you can drag things around, you can click into them to edit them, and then we have some other like editor options here. So if I want to, mess with the borders, I can create solid borders. I can change the color here. Um, and then you could also like bold things. You can change um the font size. You can, mess with background colors if I want to. That's a horrible background color, but if I want to add a background color, and then, borders and things. So this is pretty cool. Just adding to a lot of the editing functionality in Mindsmith video. So, if you want to, change the color of this. I don't know who added that as an accent color for this particular lesson. It's not my favorite, but it's there. Maybe we'll turn it into this like lighter brown color. So there's a lot more flexibility from a design perspective. You can also add in your speakers, so you can add in your avatars very easily now. So it's just a click, and then you can mess around with the characters, change them, change, background, borders, and all that stuff. The other thing is that you don't have to like all of the changes are reflected automatically when you make edits. So you don't need to jump into the agent to make edits. They're just, automatically reflected, which is really nice. So you don't have to like click in here. They're just, yeah, visualized. So very cool. Very helpful for all of you who are designing custom videos. We'll continue to beef up this particular feature and just make it more accessible and more powerful. So those are a couple of the updates from the last week or so. We have a lot of other cool stuff coming down the line, which hopefully we'll show next week or in 2 weeks. But yeah, I wanted to open up this time, this office hours time, for people to ask questions. I know someone emailed me some questions as well, so we'll get to those, but I'm gonna go ahead and allow the people who are in the attendees right now to talk. So if you have a question, go ahead and raise your hand, and then I'm happy to answer any of those questions. I'm seeing a question right now from Jackie.
Hi, Ethan. Thank you for sharing those, the what's coming up on the pipeline. My question is the capabilities of the video, as far as the changing the fonts, is that also available when we're creating lessons and courses, or is that only specific for the video?
So in a lesson, if you want to change the font, you'll have to do it through the theming box in
Gotcha.
Mindsmith. So you might be familiar with this, but you click into theme and you can
Yeah.
upload custom fonts for header versus paragraph text, and then you can
Okay.
choose the boldness and the color of header versus paragraph text.
Okay. Okay. Thank you so much.
Absolutely, you're welcome. Great. Who else has questions? Feel free to raise your hand. I'm seeing a question from Sydney.
Just unmuting. Um, a couple things. These are way on a different topic.
Oh, good.
I did notice yesterday building in Mindsmith that I was not having to refresh all of the time for changes to appear on any particular frame or slide. But I don't know if it's just me, but when I do have to refresh, it pops always back to the initial slide instead of refreshing where you are.
Hmm. So you're just on Mindsmith, you're on like page 5 and you
Yep.
click refresh and it pops you to the first one. You're right, it does.
Always pops you back to the first slide, and then you have to retrace where you are.
Interesting. Yeah, I'll make a note of that for the product team.
Okay. Um, I have a few other questions, a couple big, couple small, if no one else does.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, a larger question. If we're integrating dynamic SCORM, I'm curious if the AI interactions are okay, sorry, let me back up. I teach for Kansas State University, and we're building an AI course. And so our intention is to use dynamic SCORM just for now. And so I'm curious if AI interactions will work. And I'll just say that we've had grad students testing our content, and when it gets to any interaction that isn't like a matching assessment or one of those, they can't actually participate in the exercises.
Hmm. So like a short answer that's graded or like
The
a
short answers, they're not able to test. And these aren't people taking the course yet. These are people we've shared the course with to test it. So they can do the matching, but they can't do any short answer, or if there's any, like we've built in a couple interactions with AI and they can't do those either.
which other interactions have you built with AI?
Um, they haven't tested the most recent ones I built, which were just practicing utilizing it with prompts. But yeah, I guess we could start with the short answers because those are the ones that multiple testers said they couldn't access.
Sure. Yeah, what would be helpful, I'm not sure where that bug is coming from. If you could send me the URL of the lesson that you're having issues
Okay.
with, then we can loop in the right person from our engineering team. Um, yeah, we'll make sure that happens. The other custom stuff that you built, is it one of Mindsmith tiles? Like, is it a conversation tile? Or is this like something that you're inserting in as an iframe?
I'm not inserting iframes, although if that's what we need to do, we could do that. We're just using conversation tiles.
Okay. Yeah, the conversation tile should be working. It's possible you've run out of free conversations, but that only happens if it's shared to a learner. So it shouldn't be an issue unless you've had 100 learners go through those conversations. Um,
Do you
so
know, will we hit a limit like that? I'm trying to think through of how this will work for our students taking the course.
yeah, so AI conversations is actually a separate cost from the
Okay.
rest of Mindsmith. Right now, you would need to talk with one of our account executives to get access to it. We do give everyone 100 conversations for free on their account. So,
Okay.
yeah, and those are learner facing. So you practicing it or reviewing it shouldn't count toward those 100 conversations. Um, so yeah, what would be helpful is send me the URL of that lesson. We'll loop in the right people, and then I can also loop in people to talk about the AI conversation piece for your team and getting you set up with that.
Okay, great. I really appreciate that. Um, Anyone else? I have to go in a couple minutes, so I can ask questions or come next week if someone else wants to take over.
Yeah, go ahead and finish up your questions. We should have time.
Okay. Um, are we supposed to have more control over adding bullets? Because it seems like that's a feature that only the AI can do. And I don't know if we're just missing something.
Yeah, let me share my screen. So, adding bullets. So I think there are actually two ways to do it. One is on a text tile. If you highlight, then you can choose bullet list.
A
So
textile, okay.
yeah, you just highlight it and then you choose the bulleted list.
I was even
Um,
asking AI for directions, but okay, I don't know why, if that's me and it's not.
for some reason, they're showing up. The bullets aren't showing up on mine. I wonder if it's a theming issue.
Yeah, they weren't showing up on mine either.
Why are bullets not showing up here? Jeez. Okay.
I'm just glad it's not just me because it makes me feel silly when I can't find something.
Yeah, that's very odd actually. Yeah, I'll that um seems to be a bug that I'm experiencing as well. The other option for bullets is our list tile. So if you add a tile, you go to list,
Okay.
then you can have that as a bulleted list if you want to do that. Those bullets show up in the center versus the bullets, if you just do them up here, they'll show up kind of at the top. So what you'd be used to in like a Word document. So you can do either one.
Okay.
But yeah, that is probably a bug then. Let me make a note of that.
Okay, thanks. I actually have to run, but this was really helpful. Um, I can follow up on anything by email if needed
Awesome.
also.
Thanks, Sydney.
Thank you
Talk
so
soon.
much.
Yeah,
Bye.
absolutely. Bye. Jackie, I'm seeing a hand from you.
Yes, Ethan. I just want to just confirm the issues that Sydney was having. As far as whenever you refresh, it'll go back to page one. So it is happening to me as well. So something just to give you confirmation on that aspect. Um, I do have a question, not really a question, but a request. So, anytime there's a check on learning, any type of question, your responses, you'll have question one, but then the responses, they have numbers 1, 2, 3, 4 versus A, B, C, D. I know that seems kind of petty, but we're used to having, the letters after following a number. Is that something that maybe, in the future, as you guys are continue to improve, that maybe that could be a feature that could be implemented?
Yeah, we've had a couple of requests for that, so I'll add it to the queue, and we keep a list of like how many people have requested each thing. So I'll add that you requested that one as well.
Okay. And I got a couple of more questions, if that's okay.
Sure.
Um, so something that I'm working on a project, and so I've, one of the final things of the course is to have an assessment. And I had sent you an email, and so I've decided to separate the assessment from the course because the grading settings, it's either it applies to all or or it doesn't. So here's my question. My question is there a way that we can put a time limit on a test? And the reason for that is that we don't want a student taking 12 hours to answer 20 questions. So if we want them, hey, your test will open at this time, and once you open, it will close at at a specific time. Is that even a thing or a possibility?
No, that's not something we support. One thing we do support, we do track the amount of time that a learner spends on an individual page or on a lesson. And you may be able to set up some sort of like, if you have an LMS that does custom reporting, you may have an LMS that like fails them if they spend, you know, a certain amount of time on the lesson or course or in the SCORM package, but we don't support that.
Okay, yeah, no, I don't have an LMS, and I figured that would be the case. And I just see that on the analytics, just playing around, looking how many seconds or minutes a person spends on a specific lesson. Two more questions, and hopefully that'll be it. Um, if there's any features, do you prefer for us to email it or use the support feature? Because I've used the support and the AI agent, if they are able to help, they do. But if it's something that is like an urgent matter, like you saw in one of my emails, is email the best way? I mean, I don't want to overwhelm you with every little thing, only on those things that are, that I consider to be, urgent.
Yeah, I would say generally the like contacting our support is going to be the best way. Um, and then we can route it to the right person from there. If you are interacting with the AI agent there and you feel like it's not helpful, then it usually routes it to one of our developers.
Okay. And then last but not least, so when I develop a course, um, after I'm done with the course, I do the translation to the specific language that I needed to. And so I guess is that the best way to use my credits, or is there a different way of, because I'm trying to hold on to many credits as I can, because when I go to that specific language, I'll ask the agent to please confirm, whatever, whether it's make sure that there's no words in English and stuff like that. And any advice on what's the best method without adding, without losing more credits?
So you want to do translation, but you don't want to lose credits, is that right?
Um, well, I think yes, and then there's the other part is that once I go into that specific translated lesson, I'm asking the agent in English to do certain things. And I think you saw my email where, the agent said it had done it, but it had not done it. And so now I'm losing credit. So I'm trying to figure out what's the best way to get my lessons translated with the minimal use of credits.
Yeah, I guess right now the best way is you would just go here and then you would select the language that you want to translate into. So if you want to do Chinese, and then you add the translations. So that's going to be the best way. And then if you do need to edit the translated version, you do have to go into the version. So if
Right.
you can't tell it like from the English version to translate the Chinese version, like it doesn't work like that. But you should be able to jump in here and make any edits that you need to in the Chinese version.
So yeah, that's what I've been doing, but I got a question. My 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 dashboard or the screen does not look like yours. I went to the actual setting of if you go back to that lesson that you use as a demonstration.
Sure. Did you click
Um,
up here and then
yep,
do translate?
translate. Hmm.
So that would translate it into a totally new version, like a totally standalone lesson or course, versus this one translates it into a version of the version of that lesson. So then you have a main language and then you have different versions, and those are all tracked together as one SCORM package. And they're dynamically given to the learner to match their device language. Versus if you did this way, it would
Yeah.
translate it into, like I said, a totally new lesson that's a separate SCORM package.
Okay, so in my case, since I don't have a learning management system, um, I want to be able to have the English version and in this case, the Filipino language. Um, is it better to do it the way you did it or
Yeah, it
do,
probably would be. Yep.
okay, and where do I find that feature that
Sure.
you used?
Yeah, it's in the top left. So you just click on the language. And so here it's English. And then you click select languages. And then you would pick Tagalog
Mhm.
and then translate it. And then after it's translated, then you would go into the Tagalog version and make any changes you need to make.
Okay, so that uses less credits, I'm assuming?
I'm actually not sure on the credit
Okay,
usage for that. Yeah.
okay, okay. I guess i- is there any advantage using which way or another except for the LMS version or
Yeah,
um
it's how it's shared is kind of the main advantage. So
okay, okay,
the translated versions allow you to share just one link or one SCORM package or however you're sharing, and then
okay,
all the versions are within that link is
okay,
the best way. Yeah,
okay, okay. Thanks, Ethan.
you're welcome. Okay, Andrea, I'm seeing your hand, and you sent me an email. Is that right?
I did. And I'm going to flip through them a little bit, Ethan. Let's see. So let me go to the second bullet first. It says header spacing. So I just was curious, is there a way that I can adjust the spacing on a given title? So if it's a header or a subtitle, I'm finding that if I write too much and it scrolls, it automatically rolls to the next line. There's a preset amount of space between the two lines. It's too much for me. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, that does make sense. So right now we don't have controls around that. We are doing like aesthetic updates and like giving you design power. And so I'll include that. I'll let the our developers know and our designers as they're designing that that there's a little too much spacing there.
Yeah, adjustable, not so much that you guys do it, but that the author, I'd like to be able to adjust it as I see cosmetically fit.
Yeah.
Thank you. Um, then I had a question that says captions. Is there a way to add a title or a caption below a video? So if there's a tile with a video in it or an image, how can I add underneath it, Jane Smith, Director of Product Marketing, underneath her video or her image in the same tile?
Yeah, I don't think that we support that natively right now. We support it for images, I believe. But if you just put a text tile below it, if the text tile fills the same amount of space as the video tile, then it will stay below the video tile.
I'll
So that's
try it.
probably how I would approach it.
Yep,
Yeah.
I'll try it. I was wondering whether Mindsmith might provide for your authors or maybe it exists already, Ethan, a summary table of the avatar image names with their photos and the possible mix and match voice names and the characteristic of the voice.
Um,
I
hmm.
want to be able to choose, Victoria face. So she's a woman of Latina descent, and she talks like this. I want to be able to see which faces are available, gender or racial background, and then your list of voices. I know you have a lot of voices, and we can mix and match. I would be able to tell I want this face with this voice,
Um,
and I was hoping
you
you could provide a table so we could pick from them.
Yeah, you should be able to do that. Let me.
I wanted like a reference guide because I actually am not even clear what you offer.
Yeah. So, are you talking about for videos mostly? For AI videos?
I think that's what I've been working on. I had Mindsmith create a avatar for me. In fact, I have her, the one you. I don't recall what her name is, but I used it. I didn't realize, but I matched her with one voice first, and then I changed her voice, and it was awesome. I loved the option, but then I thought, well, what's the menu of what I can pick from?
Yeah, so here on the left for the scene, you can see there's an avatar over here. Um,
Georgia, right?
yeah, so you can choose the person. So I could
Excellent,
choose Natalia. And then you can also
excellent.
choose the voice over here. So I could actually use Abigail's voice if I wanted
Right.
to for Natalia, or I could use Ben's voice for Natalia if I wanted to.
Okay, so that's cool. Ethan, what you're saying is when I go into the video and it shows me what the script is, if I click on the profile name, that gives me where the options are.
Yeah, the name gives you the different speakers, so what they
Got it.
look like. And then right next to it is where you choose the voices. So here
Perfect.
you choose the look, here you choose the voice.
Thank you. That's awesome. Um,
Yeah, for
and
sure.
then my one of my last questions was, can the Mindsmith software support, can we open multiple courses within one instance? So what I'm finding is my courses are long. I'm kind of editing a page number 17, or let's not say 17.7, and I want to be able to refer back to page 1, but I'm scrolling. I prefer to actually have a bookmark on 7 and then be able to talk to the AI driver. I don't know if that even makes sense. I want multiple options to see my same course in one Mindsmith instance. But what I'm doing now is I'm opening multiple instances just to do the same thing.
Multiple tabs is what you're doing right now.
Correct,
Yeah.
correct.
Yeah, we we recently brought on a learning experience designer, and that was one of her first things. As she was doing some design, she was like, "I hate for a course that you have to like go into the lesson and then go back to the course like
Mhm.
homepage and then go into the next lesson." Like she just wanted a like a film strip view on the side when you're editing a single lesson of the entire course so you can jump to, different lessons super easily. So that's something, yeah, on our roadmap that we're thinking about.
It wasn't so much of a visual, Ethan. It was the ability to actually, even simultaneously, have three courses open at one time so that slide number 2 on all three courses have the same look and feel. And because of that, in Google, I have different tabs open in Google to be able to show my three courses. And then I split my screen, I have all three courses open, and then I'm able to go to all three at one time and look at page number 2.
hmm Yeah, I'm not sure what that solution would look like. One option that we do have is, here I can share my screen again. When you're using the agent, you can actually reference another lesson. So I could reference this other lesson and I could say, can you make page 2 of this lesson look like the referenced lesson?
Okay, now that's perfect. Can you remind me how did you do that again?
So it's here in the attach resources, and one of the resources is a reference lesson. So you just choose, and then
Oh,
you can choose the reference lesson. I think you can have
nice.
multiple as well. So yeah, you can see
All
I have
right.
two here.
All right.
Um, so that'd probably be the easiest way. So you essentially can use a lesson as a reference or as a template, and then you can specify how you want the AI to look at it.
Yeah, I'm going to try that. And then one last question, and that would be related to the use of the storyboards versus editing. I'm a brand new user, and I have not been
Welcome.
effectively using Storyboard yet. I generally go straight to editing and I start machinating. But
Sure.
it occurs to me that I should be, in your opinion, Ethan, using Storyboard to impact the pages instead of just manually rolling up my sleeves and making edits on the pages. And I'm assuming that's messing up the correlation between the storyboard and the pages anyway. What would be your advice and best practices for as I'm doing sort of massive changes to the pages? How should I be telling Mindsmith AI operator to the agent? How should I be using the storyboard? I'm not using the storyboard effectively at the moment.
Yeah, there are a few different approaches. The way I approach the storyboard is really as an in-between step from prompting to generation to
Uh
make
huh.
sure that my expectations and the AI's expectations are aligned before I do that initial generation. And then after the lesson's generated, I usually don't go back to the storyboard.
Okay.
Some people do, like they'll, spend a little while editing, and then you can actually ask the agent, you can say, "Hey, I made a bunch of changes. Can you go and update the storyboard to align with what the lesson looks like right now?" And then maybe you go back to the storyboard and make some changes, and then you regenerate those pages based on the changes you made to the storyboard. I don't find that workflow to be as helpful personally, but some people do. I'm probably closer to you, where I'm like, okay, I do want to read through it, before I actually generate the content. And the storyboard is nice because you can share it with people, and it's text-based, which is on purpose. So like, um, oftentimes if you share like a first draft of something with visuals, people get distracted by the visuals instead of the content. And so the storyboard sort of allows you to share a text-based version of that lesson where people won't get distracted by the visuals because it's considered like a first draft, if that makes sense. Um,
Yeah, definitely.
yeah, so
Thank you.
that's how I see the storyboard, but some people use it differently.
Yeah, yeah, no, I get it, and I'm glad I wasn't missing something. Yeah,
Yeah,
thanks. That's it for me for now, Ethan. But I'll, as I say, I'll be back. Thank you so
awesome.
much.
Yeah, awesome. No problem. Thanks, Andrea. Jackie, you have a question.
Well, actually a request. Andrea and she brought up some good points, and I was wondering, is there a way that we can share or ask her? I don't know if she's still, online. If there's an email that maybe I can share with her how I overcame, the whole title spacing thing if I understood her question correctly. But I also think that maybe establishing a community of Mindsmith authors, developers, that we can share best practices so that we don't overwhelm you guys with every bit of detail. Because I understand that you guys are working the big picture while we're working the smaller. So that's really my the reason for my hand to go up is that if you can ask her via email, I would love to make contact with her. Over.
Yeah, I just sent in the Q&A an invite to join our Mindsmith community Slack group. We haven't promoted it probably as much as we should, or we promoted it for a little while and then we stopped promoting it. But that's probably the best way to connect with people is through the Slack group. So if you go to Q&A and then answer it, it's a link just right below the question that you asked,
Yeah.
Jackie.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Any other questions? Cool. I think this was a helpful session. Thanks everyone for popping in and asking your questions. If you do have further questions, go ahead and shoot me an email, ethan@mindsmith.ai, or you can